an election platform. At the other extreme, then, is the idea of complete independence, that constituents have no right even to exact campaign promises. Once a man is elected, he must be completely free to use his own judgment. So you see, the theories go from one extreme to the next. Further complicating this debate is the issue of national interest, political parties, and the challenges of representing a diverse constituency. The issue of national interest. The phones are now ringing. Let's go to the phone and say good morning, welcome. Okay, we lost that caller. The idea of national interest then is suggesting that political parties and individuals must act in the national interest. Let's try this call. Good morning, welcome. Caller, you are live.
Greetings in the name of our great African ancestors, especially the most honorable Marcus Messiah, Garvin, Queen, and Zing. Blessed them, my beloved African brother. How are you, the family?
We're all doing well. What about you?
Good, man, good, and the clan is good.
Okay.
Now, but I caught you tuning about 15 minutes past, you know. Mm-hmm. So, what you talking about? The duty of a representative?
Yeah.
But we got to change the dynamics, beloved, because when you elect these women and men, especially men, because most men, 99.9 presently, beloved, they just don't go and do what the hell they want. And they act in the interest of the people who elected them, the electors. But that's why I call for, new constitution, because in the new constitution, beloved, supposed to get a recall clause in each constituency that if that representative is not doing what the majority of the people demand of him or her, but you take a vote inside the constituency, and if 2/3 of the people vote for recall the representative, recall must be done in no more than 60 days, beloved. We got to get real, man. This colonialistic way of doing things. But that's why you see me. I gonna call for new constitution, beloved, because what we have is a total joke. I mean, it's not just in Sankism, joke. The whole of CARICOM, total mockery. In a Guyana, there's a little tip, a difference, but not much difference, beloved. Total joke in constitution we have in CARICOM. Total joke. So we got to get real, man. And we got to get a recall clause, beloved, that people elected a representative in their particular constituency can recall he or she at any time, beloved brother. You can't wait until 4 years, 5 years, when the Prime Minister decide to call the election, got thing in a back pocket, front pocket. So beloved, I continue to listen, guy no one, someone else want to speak. Pan-Africanism our place. One love, my beloved brother.
All right, one love. All right, let's go back to the phone. Okay, lost that. Caller, you live. Go ahead.
Good day.
Good day. Good day, sir.
Yes. I remember a few years ago seeing an editorial in a British newspaper about constituency representation.
Mm-hmm.
And it pointed out that the role of the constituency rep is to represent the interests of their constituents and not their opinion.
Okay.
It is important to make that distinction because I think that we have moved away from the collective good to a kind of transactional, quid pro quo, individualistic interest. And I would argue that if a member of parliament is going to be representing the opinions of the constituents, they may as well just select the neighborhood drunk to represent them, hire a pollster to canvass opinions, and just vote on matters accordingly. The truth is, we still expect our representatives to be of a certain standard. We still expect them to be honest and trustworthy, competent, smarter than the rest of us, because after all, they are supposed to solve our problems, not add to them. Okay? We expect them to deliver our share of the national pie. And so when we see the representative of a particular area, for instance, delivering new businesses and jobs so that the constituents don't have to commute long distances to get those, we know that they are doing well compared to one, let's say, who is flamboyant. You have a flamboyant personality, but does nothing for his constituents, nothing of value. Okay? It's popular, yes, but if you look at what's happening on the ground, you see very insignificant change. Okay? So what needs to happen, I think, is that the constituency rep must operate within the strictures of a good governance system. Okay? That is why these things are so important. For it represents, well, for one thing, although you're representing the constituents, it prevents the abuse of power, like becoming nepotistic and cronyistic and becoming corrupt, which many constituents may be tempted to overlook, but they may be beneficiaries. Okay? But so some people, I think, should not be anywhere near public office based on the record, and definitely there should be some manner of recall procedures within the 5 years period of service.
Carl, let me ask you before you go.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: where do you come down on? I was talking about that whole spectrum of ideas and theories about how the representative should operate. Where do you come down on the idea of independence? Once elected, he or she has an independent position where he can use his or her judgment, which do you believe once you voted that person in, you voted that person in because you trust their judgment and they can so act?
Well, remember, first of all, when they came to you asking for your vote, they came, I expect, with certain ideas that would benefit you. I think that's what prompted you to vote for them in the first place.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm not talking here about an individualistic kind of thing where you say, well, I'm going to vote for me and I give you a house. No, we should be moving away from that. I'll give you a piece of land. That is straight out bribery. What they should be saying is that, look at my program. This is what I'm going to do to increase the housing stock in the country and make sure that some go in our particular constituency so that the people in the constituency can benefit. As soon as you're going to get down to the individualistic level, you're asking for problems, because you know that everybody can't get at the same time.
What about positions? What about national interest versus your constituency?
So that's the whole point. The national interest and the constituency interest should coincide.
Should.
Does that make sense?
Not necessarily so.
If the country is doing well, doesn't it automatically follow that some spin-off is going to come, or if you have good representation, some spin-off must come to the community.
But you admit, though, that there are times when a constituency or community's particular wants may clash with that of the national interest, though. Possible, right?
Can you give me an example?
I'm just asking if that's possible.
It should be very real.
Okay.
I mean, if you have, for instance, that it's in the national interest to put another solid waste landfill in just for argument's sake, say Sandy Point.
And they said they don't want.
And they said no, we don't
Right.
want it down here.
Right.
Okay, but the technocrats determine that that is the best site for it.
Right.
Don't you think they should follow the technocrats' advice?
Well, you're dealing with you're dealing with you're dealing with a politician who has to come back to you for that vote. So you see what I'm saying? You see the challenge there? But I agree with you, right? I agree with the national interest.
You should be able to go back to the constituency and say, this is what the expert said, all right? And therefore, let's go along with it. But I'm going to make sure that because of this, I'm going to have, let's say, a first-class health facility in this area.
Okay.
That's in the cabinet negotiation, and if you see what I mean.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you for your input. All right. We got a caller there. Good morning, caller. You're live. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Yeah. Good morning.
Hey. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Nair.
Good morning, the King. How are you doing?
As usual, good program as usual. But what I want to say to you right now,
Yes.
right? I think that the way how things is going, I think the government is wasting the time by begging people to go and vaccinate. Down here at Port Santo where I is, every Friday, you got a band in the middle, DJ or what it is, in the middle, and all kind of people, when they done dance and set up and things, they start to fight. All the table mash up and all that down here. People think pull down here. And you got two security guards, covering 24 acres of land, 25 acres of land, and where is the police? Where is the one who at the what I call it, the people them up there now, Mr. Samuels and them, who's supposed to control these things? Them anything what going on down here?
The task force. The task force you're talking about?
Yeah, the task force.
Yeah, okay.
Because I hear the task force say, in a crisis like this, what we have, they give out 75 permission to have threat and thing up and down the place. And you don't got enough police to see the threat. And when they reach to them, they say, well, what about the one down the road? You picking at me? I don't think the police them should be giving out nothing right now until the whole place vaccinated. You understand me? So I don't know what's going on here. So what the Prime Minister and the Cabinet and them doing, it look like they're just wasting the time begging people to go and vaccinate. Because I don't think it's right. And another thing again, some callers, right, when the house is unstable for them, it's good. But when it's not unstable for them, they criticize. You understand me? But when they could do 2 and 3 jobs and forsake certain jobs, what they getting paid for, the government is no good for them. Okay, you have a nice day and continue.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay, brother.
Thank you. All right. That's a challenge in itself. The government is at the moment is not heading in the direction of mandatory anything. Still trying to persuade people and show them the benefit of the vaccination, and so that is the way they at the moment choose to go. Don't know how much that how long that will be, but that is as it is at the moment. So we will see. But on that vaccination front, we are Prime Minister has reported that we're up at about 35% right now, working our way up. But I see people still taking it. It's kind of slow, but people are still getting vaccinated. So let's hope that more people are convinced as we go along to take it for the benefit of all. If we take it right now, the benefits way outweigh any risks you hear about. So there's a need for us to try and get back to as close as possible to normal. I can't say normal. I can't, because I don't know that will ever happen based on what we've been through. But as close as possible to normal, people start to make a living again. So that's the best we can do. Try to persuade, try to provide the information, and hopefully people will take that. But we're talking about representation and what it means, and there's a serious clash sometimes, as I pointed out before, between national interest and community interest. We got a caller there. Let's take the call. Good morning. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Niles.
Good morning, sir.
I don't think, right, that the government should make anything mandatory for everybody to take the vaccine. But what I think they should do, though, they should get a cutoff point, right? And after that cutoff point, just like how other things we need a police record to get it, right? I think that it should become like that. The vaccine, you have to get a vaccination card to get a lot of these things that we need, right? And then to get the vaccination card now, you have to pay for the vaccine. You have to pay for the vaccine, and the vaccine cost should be $500 or somewhere up there. You know, don't force somebody to do nothing. Don't force anybody. Give everybody time to what they want. If they want to continue, if it's rumors they're listening to and not doing it, if they want more information from wherever they want it from, leave them. Don't force anybody. In order to get, we have a cutoff point. From now on, legislate. From now on, to get the vaccination, to get what you need, you have to get a vaccination card. $500 for the vaccination card.
Okay. All right. Some people would say that when you do that, it's kind of like a roundabout way of mandating. So, but I have a feeling we're gonna get to somewhere close to that. But we will see. Let's take this call. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Good morning, Brother Tony.
Good morning.
Brother Tony, let me tell you something. When we all vote and vote, I know that you go to vote for someone to represent the consistency as a representative. That will be your elected representative in Parliament, representing you in your area, your consistency is. And that one, to get someone, because he's a minister, she's a minister, to get someone to work with her in the constituency, to look over the constituency, because you know that he or she will got the other things to do in government, in cabinet, and all those things to make decisions. And that is the way I think it's supposed to go. But because back in the 70s, I believe that is the way that you go to vote when you go to vote. But the political thing comes to bitter, and these leaders who lead in this country get so bitter, and what they do, they try to politically vote people in different constituencies when election time comes. And that happened over 20 years. You understand? So when people come in and talk in this children and that is done, that this thing happen all the time. And I believe that if they go back to the normalcy of doing this thing, just representing the constituency, because even some people now looking for individual help. When they go vote, they say they're going to vote because they're not getting help, they're not getting this, they're not getting that. So people just don't vote because they want an individual help. No, in this country, because of what happened before. I think when you go vote, to vote for someone to look over your constituency. Whether a play field, anything that's all the road project them. Look at boys right now. I think by the Fabian Road here. I just hope the minister looking over that because in Fabian Road they're going up there. The road is terrible. So I'm calling on the constituency representative to look into it for me because I know that things are difficult right now. But Fabian is a road that goes up there that people go down to business, vehicles go up there and they keep action and things up there. And I believe that the road is supposed to be good enough that people should run. When car running on the road guys come a patrol. They got the dodge patrol going up there. So brother, if the politician then in the past was doing the right thing, it would not have to happen because people just looking for individual right now. You hear people say that they're not going to vote because they're not get this and then get that individually. All right, then, Brother Tony.
Okay. Just something the caller said there. But all representatives are not ministers. Just remember that ministers are only on the government side. The opposition bench has representatives as well. So being that in mind, and they are to represent you. All representatives should represent you whatever side they sit. Back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And I guess good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, I had a call in there a while ago with the vaccination card and give them a deadline and make them pay for it. I agree with him because this one free now and the end one take it. Some of them have said they'll wait till the Cuban vaccine come. You know how they know Cuban vaccine don't come, but if it do come, make them pay for that. And if they only hear tomorrow that community spread and it all in buses, you're going to want to know where people come from to go take the vaccine. See you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Speaking of representation, as I was saying, representatives act within an elaborate network of pressures. There are lots of pressures, demands, obligations. The chief pressure that they face is them being re-elected. Right? So that's a lot of pressure. Now, one caller, two calls back, talking about a play field, for example, in their community. Now, speaking of national interest, there are lots of concerns that you have to look at that happens in cabinet. If you as a representative advocating for a play field because your constituents want one in your constituency, it may not be the right time for that in terms of the finances of the government. And so something else may take precedent. You have to go back and explain that to your constituents. But here in this particular situation, coming out of cabinet is a decision that something else is more important to the national interest. And so therefore, your play field should take a back seat. Now, if you are a constituent who understands national interest and its priority over your play field, then fine. You work with your representative. But then there are times when you say you want what you want. And if your representative can't provide it or bring home that bacon, then you're not voting for him or her anymore. Back to the folks. Good morning. Welcome. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Tony?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Listen here.
Yes.
The Bible said, right?
Uh-huh.
Blessed is a nation, for God is the Lord. Here, He said, with politics
We got to pray. Because scientists need prayer a lot. Because the things that are going on in scientists, God don't like that. And when God telling you that enough, you're going to suffer severe. Tony, you're my friend. Right? I'm telling you. Right?
Yeah.
But come and tell you something.
Listening.
The topic, right, that you have,
Yes.
really, what the topic?
Talking about role and representative.
Well, think it's moving on.
Okay.
Think it's moving on. But I believe you're going in the wrong direction. I believe it's going in the wrong direction, and God see. And God hear our cry. And God can take us our midst that we're going through. It's just like the children from Egypt. And Moses tried to deliver them from Israel. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm telling to you, we don't get these things. And when we get it, we can surely remember God. Because the things that like I mean saying it, God don't like it.
Okay.
Saying it was a clear country. Means that it pastors them against God. God about what they like.
Okay.
In other words, God said. And what do they say?
Okay.
I want to feel. You understand?
Okay.
And that's my point.
All right. Got you. Thank you for making that point for us. The people in St. Kitts are saying that they have an opinion, which is that St. Kitts and Nevis is moving in the right direction. You have an opinion that you spoke to God and He told you we are moving in the wrong direction. Okay, I got you. All right. Well, that ties into whether or not we feel in the right direction. That makes helps make your decision about your choices for representation, right? Okay. So, as we were saying, yeah, chief among the pressures that representatives face is to get re-elected. That's pressure. All right? They're the demands, they're the obligations that they have to face, but they're always cognizant of the fact that they have to be re-elected if they so choose to continue in office. Good representatives have been broadly conceived as either delegates reflecting constituent concerns or as paradoxical given the multiple and competing demands. Alright, so anyway, let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Good morning, caller. You're live. Caller, you with me? Okay.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Tony?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, hello, I'm hearing you.
Oh, you was beeping out just now. Anyway, Tony, well, when I listen to certain media in this federation, right, I suffer with pressure. and I got migraine headache. I just suffered migraine. And Tony, to be truthful, I got to listen to ZIZ, listen to Van Radio, and listen to Dominion Radio and those radio stations, you hear me? Because Tony, it seems to me like this media thing, social media, and the radio station now telling us think it. When you hear these talk show hosts on the station, those in the diaspora calling and asking if Satan cannot think it politically. You understand? Because you hear the rhetoric coming from some people mouth, some of them mouth here, about the country, how the country is and how that and how that and how terror. You must understand that the country is in disaster. And Tony, I said that it is wrong, and I believe that with the COVID still around, up to this man I was listening to news, some country got to shut back down again, some children can't go to school, the children them on vacation, they gone out today, and I just want to wish all the children and the teachers them all the best, because Tony, we are doing well. Put away the political crisis what is going on. Nobody is fighting one another, nobody is shooting down one another. The country going normal like anything else. And to hear the rhetoric coming out of some of them more from different ways to talk show. Only Lord God and Father, help us all. Well. Anyway, Tony, God can continue to bless us and keep us. I want to tell the last caller there that everybody is not alike. And we live in a godless country, and I believe most of our people here serve God and no God as the chosen one. So we ain't saying nothing gonna happen to us. But I do not believe we're gonna end up in a turmoil like some other country end up, because we are behaved people. We gotta throw away with you who disbehave. We will survive it out. Tony, you have a wonderful day again. Susie, good morning. If you're listening.
All right. Have a wonderful day yourself. All right. Let's go to the phones. Good morning.
Yes, Mr. Knight.
Yes, sir.
One other dimension that I wanted to add to the representation issue, and that is, shouldn't it be practically the same whether the representative is in the sitting government or not?
Yes.
Right. Okay. But as it stands right now, I think most people regard it as somewhat skewed, in that if they feel that if the representative is in government, they're able to do more than if they're not.
Okay,
and I think it's bad. I think that's the wrong direction we're headed in. Okay, because once you're representing a constituency, you're supposed to look at that constituency and make decisions based on that constituency, give ideas based on what you see in that constituency and what the needs of the constituency is, okay, and submit these. And if the process was working properly, then that will be balanced against the needs of the other constituencies. Okay, so it really shouldn't matter whether your constituency representative is in or out of government, but in reality, in our situation as it is now, under the system that we have now, obviously the sitting government representative has an advantage, and it really should not be like that. Okay.
Okay. Well, the reality is that there's in opposition, and this is where representation matters. In opposition or not, you are still a representative and should still advocate for your constituents. Now, the problem here I see is that too many times in opposition, people who are the representatives have not and do not put forward proposal to government. They sit back and make the assumption that, oh, I'm in opposition, then I can study me. Okay, maybe there might be some truth to that. But as a representative, if you are my representative and you're in opposition, for example, I would rather know that you did fight, that you did put forward the ideas and concerns of me and other constituents. If it is that you're not getting through because of the fact that you're in opposition, then I support you because you are advocating, which is what you should be doing. Now, as to whether or not it happens, as an intelligent person in the constituency, I can see and I can understand. But the problem is, sometimes I take the position that I'm in opposition and don't even bother to put forward a proposal. And you go into Parliament just like the other side do. And so we can hear you in Parliament on whatever you're advocating. But anyway, that's just me. I say a good democratic representative is not likely to be approved by or even appreciated by every one of his or her constituents, let alone by all the citizens. Thus, my claim is not that a good democratic representative will be valued by every citizen or even the majority of citizens. Rather, my claim is that a good democratic representative will be the unbridled advocate of his or her own constituents. And that's going to do it for me on this edition of Frank and Candid. I am Tony Nias. We will be back tomorrow, if it is to be, with much more conversation right here on Frank and Candid.